All right, we talked about chemistry, one of the most exciting things. Let's get to an even more exciting thing, the fire code. Ah, yes. Guys, I think Texas in general as a blanket is under the 2012 International Fire Code, but many counties and many cities have adopted newer fire codes. I know that I see a lot of firefighters in here. I see a lot of non-firefighters in here. You're like, I don't know what the fire code is. I know that it exists, and I don't really care about it. Guys, it runs our life. It's important. I'm going to fly through it. My fire marshals, my fire inspectors, take heed, take note, take pictures. Back in 2015, we didn't care about it. It's only in like stationary storage battery systems. 2018, we finally added Chapter 12 for PV systems, solar panels, and energy storage systems. I'm limited as a fire inspector only to things that are fixed. There's rare exceptions to that, like mobile fueling and mobile food trucks, but if it's in the building, I can control it. If it's on the highway, if it's on the road, if it's in transit, I don't control it as a fire marshal. So we have these different lines of authority for everybody. We're all trying to talk together as we go through that. You'll understand that a little bit more here in a second. 2021 code, safe installation and maintenance, reignition, on-site mitigation has to be monitored by the owner. They have to look out for explosion control. It updates the tables and densities. There's one of the tables. The International Fire Code says that anything over 20 kilowatt hours has to be permitted by the fire marshal. The residential code says anything over 1 kilowatt hour. What this means, a Tesla Powerwall, which is 13.5 kilowatt hours, doesn't go across my fire marshal's plan review desk. It goes across the city planner, right? But the big energy storage systems, the fire department does get a plan, right? What is permitting for? I'm going to go over here. I've been looking over that. I'm right side dominant, but I'm going over here. What is permitting for? Anybody? What's the purpose of permitting? To ensure things are done in a safe manner? I'll give you a sticker for good effort. You spoke up and I appreciate it, probably. I'm glad that you didn't say for money. Everybody loves to say, well, to get money. Inspections are for that, 100%. So I don't disagree with your statement there. Permitting, my interpretation of permitting is for awareness. I want to make sure if I get a permit that you know about it. Now, do I need a permit? We need a permit for assemblies. Do you need a permit? Do you need to know that this building's an assembly? No, there's a massive parking lot, and I know it's an assembly hall, and that's fine. But what about cutting and welding? What about flammable liquids combustible storage? Can I get that from permitting and find out from the fire marshal's office that is in a facility? Absolutely. So my fire marshals, please work on the permitting to make sure your firefighters know where this stuff is. Within the codes, lithium ions, we have to have explosion control. Kaboom, watch out for that release of hydrogen. In Washington State, we added specific amendments. I just want to show them to you because our fire marshals in the House, you know what I'm talking about right here. We can enact Chapter 1, and you can say that I'm going to enforce stricter standards than what's currently allowed. But if you do that, just say, I want to do this. Well, why? Because I said so. No, because Washington and other states have done this, and this is exactly the language. It's called copy and paste, Control-C, Control-V. Or you can work with your city and county and update the code as such. I'm not saying you have to do our stuff. We're not perfect. San Francisco just updated their code. I would say take a look at what their code amendments are for the micromobility devices. We require energy storage systems to comply with NFPA 855. NFPA standards are the recommendation. The way I teach it in my hazmat classes is a regulation is a stop sign out there on the road, right? If I end up running that stop sign on the road, the sheriff or the cop are going to be able to pull me over, cite me, and arrest me, right? If I go to the shopping mall and I run a stop sign, that's a standard. Paul Blart's going to be chasing me down with a Segway, and he might give me a $25 ticket and tell me I can't go to the Old Country Buffet. Darn. But you do it again. You run that four-way stop sign at the shopping mall, and you run over Granny who's doing the mall walking. Are you negligent? Because you didn't follow the standard practice and somebody got hurt or killed, right? Now you are responsible. We want to follow the standards. The standard, if it's put by law, they have to follow it, right? So there's 855. I'm not going to give you NFPA language all day long, but the biggest thing I have this slide up here is there has to be signage showing us that there's an energy storage system within the facility, and it has to comply to NFPA UL 9540 standards, telling us that the equipment, the functioning, the BMS, all the equipment, all the items in there have to be tested and listed by UL, and it has to be new. There's no getting 15 Nissan Leaf batteries, putting them in a Connex box, and then turning it into an energy storage system per NFPA 855. Well, okay, fire marshals, you start thinking about this. What about the cars? The cars that can back charge, like my F-150 was able to. Well, the fire code says nope. They have to comply to NFPA 70. That's not a mobile energy storage system. Well, let's take a look at the cars really here for a second. Captain Chris Green at the Washington Energy Symposium. He's up here at the podium. He's talking the story. He's bringing all the information. He's like, okay, Cap Pfaff, you're worried about permitting for anything over 20 kilowatt hours. Absolutely, sir. Correct, I am. And you kind of want to worry about Tesla Powerwalls that are 13.5 kilowatt hours. That's why you're looking at the IRC, anything more than 1 kilowatt hour. Yes, sir, I'm worried about that. And I just told you right now that batteries are agnostic. Yeah, so a lithium-ion battery in an energy storage system is the same as a lithium-ion battery in an EV. It's the same as a micromobility or any, yeah. So how much energy does a Tesla have? More than 20? That's correct, 60 to 80, maybe up to 100 for some of the bigger cars. What about a Toyota Prius? More? What about a Jeep Hybrid? More? Crap, every AV has more than an energy storage system. You know what I don't get to figure out as a fire marshal? Where all those cars are. So here's my thing to you for firefighters in the room. Make sure, we got to worry about energy storage systems and permitting awareness. Obviously that helps us out. But we have to always assume that there's a battery in this garage. We have to always assume that this garage can blow up. We have to always assume that there's a hazard, right? If you cannot plan and predict it, you have to expect the worst, right? That's what we do. We put additional restrictions. They put additional restrictions on high pile storage. This is a picture of a Mercantile. This is Home Depot. Mercantile doesn't fall under high pile storage. But I like to put this picture in because this comes from the Washington Department of Ecology, our version of the EPA. This was the beginning of our path down the lithium-ion tunnels. And what happened here is Home Depot ended up having two illustrious members of the Spokane community. They ended up stealing $375-ish of goods from Home Depot. And to effectively execute their plan, one of the people went to the Lawn and Garden Center and they set fire to the True Fuel in the Lawn and Garden Center. You know what's right above the True Fuel in your Lawn and Garden Center at a Lowe's or a Home Depot? Lithium-ion batteries for all the weed whackers and all the lawnmowers and all the other tools. And then Spokane Fire, they responded in quick fashion. They did a great job. They were able to put the fire out. There was still $6.5 million worth of damage to the store. Massive cleanup. They did a little bit better than San Jose. I'm not knocking those guys in any way, shape, or form. They lost an entire Home Depot to the same type of story, almost exact same type of set of circumstances. Probably better for them. Because at Spokane, they had a whole mess to clean up, and they didn't know what to do with this. So let's go back to our Pierce County story and our first chemist here. Spokane Fire calls the Washington Department of Ecology, and they're like, hey, we've got a whole slew of lithium-ion batteries that we need to get disposed of, and we don't know what to do with this. Oh, lithium batteries? I've dealt with this. Like I told you how Pierce County and King County were duking it out for number 1 and number 2 back in the day. Guys, this is no joke. The old Walter White RV, we had car chases with these things, right? And then we lost number 1. Missouri took the cake from us. They ended up doing what they call the one-pot method, right? The one-pot method for making methamphetamine. Don't worry, I'm not going to get into the chemistry of it. But it's literally, this right here is a methamphetamine lab, according to the DEA now. You just burp it, you make some meth, right? That's a lab. Back in my day, to make a proper meth lab, you needed an entire RV and beakers and all the crazy stuff they did. They had to put in real work. But Missouri took the cake, and then Florida beat the Missouri, and Florida gets to hold the crown of most meth labs ever. Good for them. But back in the day, our Washington Department of Ecology, they were responding to thousands of meth labs a year in Washington State. My gosh, the whole state just smelled like cat pee everywhere you went. It was amazing. And they pulled out the playbook that they're used to, lithium batteries. So let's dunk our lithium-ion batteries in mineral oil because they're water reactive. This is a doctor here that was doing this. And I'm not saying, he's not dumb. He's an amazingly smart dude. We didn't know. And they didn't do anything bad or wrong, but we had no idea. And that's what started that question and started these questions like, what are we supposed to do? How do we do this? What's going on? And we asked the question to Home Depot. It's like, you guys lost $6.5 million, like plus the 6 weeks that we were shut down, which is $1 million a day of revenue. Like, what? Okay, we need some batteries to burn and to learn this. How many batteries do you want? As many? Okay, here's $50,000 worth of batteries. That's where that battery came from and many other batteries came from. They let us go to town. And we brought up Far West supplier out there in shirts. We brought up members across the country for all this, right? Well, let's get back to the code with this. Because I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on that. So now lithium-ion batteries are considered a high hazard. So extra protections, sprinklers, alarms, other items like that, separation. So we're finally recognizing, right?